happens when the fourth turning meets fifth generation warfare.
A commentator, international social media sensation, and former Navy intelligence veteran.
This is Human Events with your host, Jack Posobiec.
Christ is
Memorial Day weekend ended with a mass shooting in Philadelphia's Fairmount Park. 11 people were shot. 2 of them, a man and a woman, were killed. 9 others, including some teenagers, were injured.
On Memorial Day, President Trump took to Truth Social and said he's considering taking $3 billion from Harvard University and giving it to trade schools all across our land.
Dan Bongino, the FBI's #2 official, writing that the agency is either reopening or shifting resources towards these cases.
The D.C. pipe bombing investigation, cocaine discovery during the Biden administration, and also the leak of the Supreme Court Dobbs case.
Big red flag for the housing market. It's not just interest rates rising today. You can see that's putting pressure across the builders. But the number of homes for sale in this country is also really surging.
Nationally, inventory is up 18% from a year ago. A major move from the Trump administration. New sanctions target top cartel leaders in what a border official is calling a, quote, full frontal assault on organized crime at the border.
You're unhappy with President Putin. You've talked before about putting more sanctions on Russia. Is that something you're considering more serious?
absolutely. He's killing a lot of people. I don't know what's wrong with him. What the hell happened to him, right? He's killing a lot of people. I'm not happy about that.
Here's the dirty little secret that the globalists don't want anyone to know. We don't have the corporate sponsors. We don't have George Soros. We don't have all of the people from the Chinese Communist Party coming to support us. But what do we have on our side? We have the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily, here live in Rzeszów, Poland, where we are at CPAC Poland, the very first one, and we are so excited to be here. Today is May 27th, 2025, Anno Domini, and we're here with the head of TV Republica. His name is Michał Rahon. Thank you so much for holding this event and being here and letting us use your facilities.
Jack, thanks for having me. Thanks for being here with us at the first CPAC in Poland, actually.
Why was it so important to hold CPAC right now in Poland?
Because conservatives all over the world need to follow and need to build relations, direct relations. We need to talk. We need to exchange views. We need to exchange the way we are going to fight the liberal left tyranny all over the world. There are, of course, obvious differences between the United States, between Poland, and different states that conservatives are active on the political and media scene. Those differences are obvious, but there are some common values and common issues that we face together, and we actually need to exchange our ideas and exchange views on those issues. Border protection, Christine Naim was here, your Homeland Security Secretary, definitely Green Deal issues, definitely issues related to woke madness that we are all, suffering from. This complete madness all over the world.
And Poland, of course, has the presidential election this Sunday. The president of Poland just spoke here, and Karol Nawrocki, who is the candidate. How do you think the election's going to go?
You never know. It's it's a total, very, very close race. We cannot predict who's going to win. The latest poll suggests that there is a slight margin of the conservative candidate over the liberal one. But again, you never know how it's going to play out. What we know is that we are having in Poland 2 different political views. Liberal left with all the madness of woke,
and globalists, and Soros. And
Soros
was here.
Actually, Alex Soros was mentioned in the presidential debates. The Rafał Trzaskowski, who is a liberal left candidate, actually told that he prefers Alex Soros over Viktor Orban. Think about it for a minute.
Completely ridiculous.
Viktor Orban.
Thank you so much for having us, for hosting us, and allowing us to be here. You have to run off to your duties. We're taking a quick break. We're live from CPAC Poland in Rzeszów, Poland, right here. Look at this incredible event, folks. We'll be right back.
understand what America First truly means.
Welcome to the second American Revolution.
Well, folks, we are back here live. Jack Posobiec, want to bring in Real America's Voice, as well as welcoming in the Salem Radio Network, Charlie Kirk, Hour 3. Folks, today we are live from Rzeszów, Poland, where there's a presidential election in just a few days. I'm here speaking because CPAC Poland, the very first one, just kicked off, and I can't wait to tell you all about it and introduce you to our special guest. Very quickly, though, I have to thank you to our sponsor for today's episode. Not only the sponsor that allows us to be able to do this kind of coverage and bring you this international fight against the globalists, but the one that powers me personally so that I can get around and do everything that I need to do on a daily basis while keeping up with the family. Folks, listen up, because you're still drinking, if you are drinking, that corporate watered down nonsense that you call coffee. It's time for a serious wake-up call. Blackout coffee isn't just a coffee. It's a statement, a declaration that you're done with weak beans and weak values. This is high-octane American roasted fuel for those who grind harder, stand taller, and never back down. Look, I love this stuff. It keeps me going. No jet lag over here for Poso. Blackout Coffee isn't playing games. They're cranking out more bags than ever, shipping faster than ever, and keeping you locked in with coffee that actually fires you up. Whether you're chasing big goals, crushing the daily grind, or just refusing to drink coffee made by people who hate you, Blackout Coffee has got your back. So stop settling. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Poso and use promo code Poso for 20% off your first order. Drink like a patriot. Drink Blackout. That's blackoutcoffee.com/Poso. Don't be woke. Be awake. Folks, we're very excited to be here, honored to be here, I think in person for the first time on the show, even though you've been on before. Member of European Parliament, Dominik Tarczyński.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
you very much.
Now,
welcome to Poland.
Thank you. Well, I don't know if you know this, but actually the Posobiec family, we are actually from this region of Poland.
Really?
Podkarpacie.
Welcome home.
Karpackie. We are from Leżajsk, is my family.
That's very close.
We are about 45 minutes away from where the Posobiec family is. And if I understand correctly, this is actually the most conservative,
the most
region.
radical, far-right, beautiful Poland.
All right,
That's what it is.
all right.
They
hardcore Catholic, hardcore conservative.
They try to shame us, calling us a far-right. I'm so proud to be far-right.
No, yeah, here's what I say. When they say we're far-right, I say, no. You mean we're right so far.
That's correct. That is correct.
I have a question for you, by the way. How many illegal migrants will Poland be accepting? Do you have a number?
Yes, it's zero. Again,
zero.
Not even one will come to Poland if it's illegal. I stated it with Channel 4 in 2018 with Katie Newman. She was obviously shocked. How can you say that? European Commission says that you are racist. I don't care. I said, I don't care, and I still don't care. I care about my family, about my country. So I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so happy to share our thoughts and, what we think about illegal migration, about Polish-American cooperation, about the future, about the conservative movement. I'm so excited. I'm so happy that I was right in 2015. I was right in 2018, and we are right now. It's not about being right only. It's about the future of your children, grandchildren, about the future of Poland, Republicans, America, free world, basically. So what we are fighting now, as I said, is a war of civilizations. And illegal migration is a part of this war, as jihadists say, hijra, war without weapon.
Yes.
So they want to flood us, take over the land, take over our culture, our faith, and our society.
Answer may not be the same as it was 18 months ago, but we're still going to work at it.
Right.
Yeah.
In talking to locals as we have the last 2 years, many of them say that they're now worse off than they were before.
Yes.
They're closing their businesses, selling their businesses. What?
Yes, we had a beautiful conversation with our presidential candidate, and what I'm dreaming of, what we want from our corporation, from our perspective, is to have Fort Trump in Poland again. I mean, fulfill our promise, because that was our promise a couple of years ago. So we want for Trump, we would love to have more American soldiers on Polish soil. We want to buy your military equipment. We don't want to spend our money in Germany or France. We don't want to be dependent on Germany. Our experience throughout history with Germans were,
not so good.
Not so good. So history with America is a completely different thing. We never had any conflicts. We never had any problems. We always cooperated. So we want to spend our taxpayers' money in America because of your technology, so advanced technology. We want for Trump, and we want to cooperate on your experience and your, let's say,
and
process
in all
of getting rid of
Poland,
illegals.
by the way, in all of Europe, I should say, Poland has one of the most booming economies right now.
Not only that,
and that's because of the Polish people and the policies of the current
when they ask me why I'm so radical as a conservative, I'm trying to give them data from Eurostat, not ours, from European Parliament. The lowest unemployment, thanks to our government, after 8 years, the lowest unemployment, Poland. The highest GDP after COVID, Poland. The lowest number of rapes, Poland. The lowest number of crimes with a knife, Poland. 0 terrorist attacks. So data, not our data, not my political opinion, but data shows us that to be radical, to be conservative, to do what you believe in when you love your country and your family, provides you with good numbers.
People don't believe it when I say that you can come to Poland and you can be a woman and you can walk around in the city at night. You could walk by yourself. You could go with friends. You're safe.
2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, no problem at all.
This is not, but could you say that about Amsterdam, Paris, Berlin, Munich, London?
You can't, because this is
Malmo.
why I said that this is one of the lowest, numbers of rapes. But it's not only because there is no illegals. Obviously, this is one of the reasons, but also because we have a great services, patriotic services, and we have a strong man. They react. When Polish guys see that something is happening, we do react. So our philosophy is to keep our culture, the way you raise your children, to raise your boy as a man. So wokeness is an enemy. We have to fight with it because it is about the safety of our future daughters. So it's mixed our faith, our tradition, build the society which is safe. You can go out on the streets. We can do it tonight. There's no jet.
He's asking me out, folks.
Yes,
he's asking me if he wants to go out in the town.
With
I don't know. I have to check with Tanya Tay on that one. You know, Tanya.
No, we would go out with the camera to show everyone how beautiful and safe Poland is.
It's true.
It is just the truth. It's not only numbers. You can go out and really see what is going on.
And it's so incredible. And so and this is what is a threat to the George Soros agenda, because they will say,
he hates it.
They will say, oh, you have to accept some crime. You have to accept these things because this is progress.
No.
This is progress.
We don't want this progress. We don't want this diversity. We don't want your engineers and your doctors. We don't need educated migration, as they trying to say, take them all and pay for them. We don't need them. This is what I've been saying for the last years, and I was right. So we have to keep it that way. This is why our presidential election this Sunday is so important. It's very important. It is about future of Poland, future of Europe, and cooperation with Americans. Because what the wokeness, the leftists in the European Union trying to do is to push America out of Europe. We want Mr. Trump as an inspiration with the wall, with the patriotism, with the business, taking care of your nation as a symbol in Europe. I think he's right. He did great things.
Poland
great
again. Dominik Tarczyński, member of European Parliament. I'm honored to have you here on the program.
Pleasure.
Thank you for welcoming me back to my family's hometown area here in Poland.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Folks, we will be right back. We're live, CPAC Poland. You're on with the Real America's Voice Network, as well as the Salem Radio Network, Hour 3 Charlie Kirk. This is Jack Posobiec live at CPAC Poland, the very first one in Rzeszów, Poland. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Welcome back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. The Trump administration is facing a new lawsuit this morning as National Public Radio and 3 of its local stations are arguing that President Trump's executive order aimed at cutting federal funding for the organization is illegal. They also believe the order, which targets both NPR and PBS, violates the First Amendment. Here's a quote from today's legal action. It says, "The order's objectives could not be clearer. The order aims to punish NPR for the content of news and other programming the president dislikes and chill the free exercise of First Amendment rights by NPR and individual public radio stations across the country." The suit was filed in Washington, D.C.'s federal court today. The plaintiffs include NPR, Colorado Public Radio, Aspen Public Radio, and KUTE Incorporated. While PBS has also pushed back against the president's EO, the broadcaster is not part of today's suit. However, experts do expect the public broadcaster to file its own separate legal action. President Trump says he is considering taking $3 billion in grant money previously set aside for scientific and engineering research away from Harvard University. Instead, he'd like to give those funds to trade schools. It's the latest chapter in the ongoing standoff between the Trump administration and the Ivy League school. Harvard has seen some $3 billion in federal grants frozen in recent weeks. All of this over concerns from the Trump administration over how the university is operating. In return, Harvard is sued to restore the funding, arguing that the president is engaged in an unconstitutional attack on the university's free speech rights. There's still no word if the funds the commander-in-chief is referring to are the already frozen grants or new ones. Well, America could soon get some answers about who left cocaine in the White House, or also we're hoping to get some information about J6 and who left bombs there at the RNC and the DNC. We, of course, will follow that story as well.
Today, they talk about influencers. These are influencers, and they're friends of mine. Jack Posobiec. Where's Jack? Jack, he's done a great job.
All right, folks, Jack Posobiec, we are back here, CPAC Hungary. I want to now play, we have a panel that took place a little bit earlier today that I took part in. We're going to play part of that panel for you now.
When we see the growth of the media that you represent, the numbers that you are getting in your political show, it shows a great success of demand and supply with the media that even didn't exist like 5, 6, 10 years ago. And you are part of this great revolution. What is the nature of the thing that we are witnessing and that you are actually a part of?
Well, thank you, Mihail, and thank you also to CPAC Poland, TV Republica, which is one of the greatest TV stations in all of Europe, for putting on this event and having everyone here, because this is what makes people free. Events like this. The globalists don't want us to have an event like this where we get together and we make connections and we have these conversations. And here's the dirty little secret that the globalists don't want anyone to know. Do we have, on our side in the U.S. or even with TV Republica, we don't have the corporate sponsors and the big money and all of the, even though this is an incredible event, you have to have some sponsors. I don't think Michael was up there doing the lights and
our viewers.
TVs. He's tall enough,
Jack,
but I don't know.
Jack,
you're tall enough. You could reach it.
Our viewers, this is actually the question I'm going to ask Matthew in a second. Our viewers are our main sponsors. We do, of course, have one of the sponsors.
And here's what we do have, right? We don't have the corporate sponsors. We don't have George Soros. We don't have all of the people from the Chinese Communist Party coming to support us. But what do we have on our side? We have the truth. We have the truth on our side. And if the truth is given the ability to be heard through distribution, as you just said, if we have the ability to speak the truth to the public, then it will grow and our numbers will grow, because there is always going to be a market. There is always going to be ears that want to hear the truth, because we are not telling people what to believe. We are telling people that what they believe is actually shared not just by us, but by so many other people. Because one of the main tactics that you'll see from New York Times and their affiliates abroad, they want you to think that your beliefs as a conservative, you are far right, you are an extremist, you are so atomized, no one thinks like you, you're an individual, no one else shares your beliefs. Well, look around this room, and I would say to everybody who's watching online, look at the numbers on here. There are more of us than there are of them who believe in the truth, who believe in borders, language, culture, and believe in the faith of Almighty God. And that is the thing the globalists want to defeat. There's an irony here, because in order to fight globalism, which is a worldwide threat, it requires an international alliance of anti-globalists. That's the paradox of this. Paradox here. And so the issue is quite simple. It's because we have many differences. We have differences in language. We have differences, in some cases, in religion. We have differences in our beliefs in many cases. But what we share is a rejection of this idea that everyone can be the same, that all people are interchangeable, that there is no God, that you should allow your borders to be open to international migrants from the third world and have them run over your country. No. Poland is Poland because of the Polish people. The same with America, the same with every country in the world. And if we can all agree on those basic key issues, then it doesn't matter if you're in Japan, if you're in Korea, if you're in Mexico, if you're in Poland, you're in America. That's how we can share with organizations like CPAC and what Matt Schlapp and Mercy have put together to be an international, like the hub of a wheel where everyone can come together and share what we have learned, share in instances where you are under attack in Poland. How can we help TV Republica? People are being arrested from Law and Justice. They're put in jail, political prisoners like Poland saw in the 1980s and from all this time during the communist era. We can raise that awareness in the United States, and because we have a president like Donald J. Trump and a State Department under Marco Rubio, we have the ability to put pressure now in all of these cases.
And to Jack's point, I mean, you really see CPAC as like the International Justice League. You know, you've got like a model UN that doesn't hate the West sitting here today. What a novel concept. And, you know, hopefully that in the remaining hours of the day, we can harness that.
Wait, Matt, what if we just got rid of the United Nations and instituted CPAC International instead to run the world?
That would actually that would be much better. I think everyone, if we can do that before the day is over.
Matt, would you take the promotion?
Yeah. Secretary General.
Secretary General.
This is Secretary General Matt Schlapp.
Welcome back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. Former Culpeper County, Virginia Sheriff Scott Jenkins enjoying his presidential get-out-of-jail-free card. Jenkins was set to begin a 10-year federal prison sentence for bribery today, but instead he is a free man and will remain so thanks to President Trump's last-minute pardon. The former sheriff was convicted of bribery for accepting more than $75,000 in exchange for appointing campaign contributors as auxiliary deputy sheriffs. Jurors found him guilty this past December, saying that several people bribed him in the form of campaign contributions. In return, they were sworn in as deputy sheriffs and received badges and credentials. In court documents, the Justice Department at the time said, and I'm quoting here, the bribe payers were not trained or vetted and did not render any legitimate services to the sheriff's office. In announcing the pardon, President Trump calls Jenkins a victim of an overzealous Biden Department of Justice. Speaking of President Trump, he's reportedly weighing new sanctions against Russia following this weekend's massive attack on Ukraine. The aerial offensive is said to be the largest of the war so far. Taking to Truth Social, President Trump saying his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, has gone absolutely crazy.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
The Ukrainian Air Force says that Russia launched 355 drones and 9 cruise missiles against Ukraine over the weekend. Despite supposed peace talks between the two sides, each is continuing to fight and launch attacks on the other. That's a quick check of your headlines. As always, we appreciate having you along for the ride. Now, let's get you back to Human Events Daily with Jack Posobiec.
And Jack, where's Jack? Where's Jack? Where is he? Jack, I want to see you. Great job, Jack. Thank you. What a job you do. You know, we have an incredible thing. We're always talking about the fake news and the bad, but we have guys, and these are the guys who should be getting Pulitzers.
All right, Jack Posobiec, we are back live here, Rzeszów, Poland, at CPAC Poland, live on Real America's Voice, the Salem Radio Network as well. Our 3 Charlie Kirk program. I was able to have the honor of speaking here in the very region that my family is from, that the Posobiec family is from, here in Poland for my very first ever speech in Poland. And I got to say, as a Polish American growing up in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, I never thought that I'd be in this position. Let's go and play that now.
Dzień dobry, Polsko! It is an honor for me to stand here in the heart of Rzeszów, in the proud Podkarpackie region. This is a land that pulses with the spirit of Poland. This city is so close to my heart because my family, Posobiec family, is from Podkarpackie. We are from Leżajsk. This is the land of my ancestors. This is the land of my forefathers, and their blood is in this soil. This is the most conservative part of Poland and the most Catholic part of Poland. And this is what we are fighting for each and every single day. I'm honored to be here speaking for the very first time in Poland. And I say to you, as you have said for so many generations, Jeszcze Polski nie zgięła! Jeszcze Polski nie zgięła! Poland is not yet lost, and neither is the West and Western civilization, because Poland is not just a place on a map. Poland is a testament to faith, to the unyielding courage, the eternal home of the Polish people, the home of Saint John Paul II, the greatest pope in modern history. And this is a land that is not afraid to proclaim the greatest truth of all, that our King is Christ. Christ is King. And so I come to speak to you today as a son of Poland and a proud son of Podkarpackie. We must renew our fight in the defense of Western civilization and Western values. Poland understands this history, from the triumphs of Grunwald, to the miracle on the Vistula, to the defiance of the Home Army, to the Warsaw Uprising in 1944, to the workers' movement that has shattered communism once and will defeat communism every single time it comes to Poland. Poland will always defeat Marxism in all of its forms. And as the great saying goes in Poland, Bóg, honor I ojczyzna. Bóg, honor I ojczyzna. Thank you. In 2017, Donald Trump came to Poland and he declared that the West will survive because the West will be defended. He spoke of Poland's heroes that many Americans know, like General Pulaski, like Kosciuszko, who fought against impossible odds to aid the United States of America. And today, we must follow in the footsteps of those heroes as we fight for freedom in all of our lands, not just for us, not just for ourselves, but for our children and for our children's children. And if my ancestors in Poland understood that, then I will carry on their tradition and I will fight for freedom wherever I have to in this world. In 1979, 1 million Poles came to see Pope John Paul II, born not far from here, and they chanted, "Chcemy Boża," we want God. That cry rooted in the faith of this land, and it shook communism and Marxism and the Soviet cause to its very roots. And so to my fellow Americans and to the people of Poland, I say, look to Rzeszów, look to this event that is being held today, where people have come together to defend their freedom, to defend their way of life against Brussels, against Obama, against Soros, against any figure who would come and try to destroy our way of life. We say no. This is the land of Jan Sobieski, the glorious king who defended Christendom from the barbarians when they tried to come in 1683, who turned back the horde at Vienna with the glorious Polish winged hussars sent from Almighty God himself. This is the region where the churches are filled, where the flame of history burns strong. Let us stand together as our ancestors did, and we will defend the West, and from town to town to town, from those who would dare to tear it down. Za wolność naszą I waszą, za wolność naszą I waszą, for our freedom and yours. This is our sacred mission. This is our sacred duty. And so standing here in Poland, I feel the weight of my ancestors on this soil. My family has carried the stories of this land from Lejajsk and Rzeszów all the way back to America, and now we return here. There is no people in this world that is more close to my heart than the Polish people. And I will always be fiercely proud of my Polish heritage. together, the Polish people, the American people, and all people who love freedom will face every challenge, and we will defeat every challenge. We will ensure that our children inherit a world where faith, family, and freedom reign supreme. And so I say to you, long live our unbreakable friendship. Long live the bonds of our people. Niech żyje Polska! Niech żyje Polska! Niech żyje Polska! Thank you. May God bless America, may God bless Poland, and may God bless the unbreakable people of our countries. Thank you.
Well, folks, that was my speech at CPAC Poland. This was a personal one, folks. What can I say? This was an absolute personal one, standing here on the very soil that my ancestors have stood for 1,000 years. By the way, I realized that I never explained in my speech what Bóg, honor I ojczyzna actually stands for. That is a very common Polish saying. It is historic Polish saying, God, honor, fatherland. And that's really what conservatism is all about. And perhaps someone who can help us understand what international conservatism is all about is the chairman of CPAC, Matt Schlapp.
Great to be with you, Jack.
Matt, thank you so much for having us. What an event. Congratulations.
A great speech. I didn't understand all of it because Jack spoke a lot of Polish in his speech.
I tried to throw in the English whenever I could, but I realized I missed that one as I'm listening back to it. God, honor, fatherland. That's because people don't realize the history that Poland have been occupied for something like 120 of the last 150 years.
And go back even further, it's even more, right?
It's even, you can find even more and more partitions and imperial domination. So Poland's only actually had real freedom for about the last 30 years. When you think about that, 30, 35 years, which is just incredible. But it shows you how it is that a people can come through something like that and actually understand freedom because they've had it taken away.
Yeah, it's interesting. We think about America as being a young country, but really our democracy could be in its senior years. I hope not. I hope we have a lot of years to go. And a lot of these countries we view as old have relatively fresh, free governments, democracies, republics.
Well, that's exactly right, yes.
So it's interesting when you get over here, and they appreciate, one of the reasons why there's such a connection, we can ask ourselves, and we've done it, after hours when we're done with these events, why is the CPAC thing taking off? Why is this conservative populist revolution taking off everywhere? And the reason is that people understand the threat, and they see America as being the linchpin to having success around the world on fighting back the globalists. So real kinship between the Polish people who believe in freedom and the Americans they view as leading the fight on freedom. And they're so worried about our country, as you know. They're so worried. If they lose America, if we all lose America, they're screwed.
It's a big difference because I always, I say, Poland, great country, bad neighborhood. That, you're Germans on the one side, you've got the Russians and the Ukrainians and all that mess on the other side, and here you are in the middle trying to have and it's such a beautiful country.
Beautiful.
And you go through the farms and the forests, and you go to the beautiful cities like Krakow that have been there for hundreds of years and see the architecture, and you think, what does it take to preserve something like this? And in America, we've got two giant oceans, we've got cartels that we have to worry about and violence, and thank God that Kristi Noem, by the way, who was just here, is doing something about that finally. But we don't understand war, I think, the way that people here do.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, the Polish people understand. It was interesting because we have Polish supporters and, like the Balabans, and others.
They're so amazing.
And other people in the region. And so they talked about what was going on with Ukraine. And it's so interesting with all these, you might call them European conflicts, but conflicts, they get packaged very neatly in our news media, and shockingly, we're lied to just as we are on everything, right?
No, the media never.
Who has the white hat? Who has the black hat?
Right.
You know, they do all of this lying, and I think the problem for Americans is they have to stop consuming all of that.
And we can't sort it out, Matt. We've got a quick break coming up. Can we hold you? Can we hold you for the next segment? I want to hold Matt over for the next segment because this is the inaugural CPAC Poland. It's a smashing success. 1 week, really only 6 days before the presidential election. The candidate spoke here, as well as the current president of Poland, who's term limited out. I want to get into that and more about what CPAC is doing internationally with Matt Schlapp. When we come back, Jack Posobiec, Real America's Voice, and the Salem Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Get ready to launch into the future of freedom at the largest student event in the nation. SAS is back. Join thousands of fellow students ready to pioneer a bold new era for America at our Student Action Summit. And we're bringing in in the biggest voices in the movement. Featuring Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Dr. Ben Carson, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, Brandon Tatum, James O'Keefe, Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec, and more. From July 11th through 13th in Tampa, Florida. Register now at SAS2025.com.
When I'm working long hours, I'm always listening to Human Events with Jack Posobiec.
All right, Jack Posobiec, we are so excited to be back here live, Rzeszów, Poland, at CPAC Poland, Real America's Voice, the Salem Radio Network. We're here with Matt Schlapp, the chairman, actually international chair, the global chair. Earlier today, I was saying on stage, you may think I was joking, dead serious, get rid of the United Nations, but replace it with CPAC International. You're going to be Secretary General. What do you say?
I think we call it the disunited nations.
Disunited nations.
Let nations make their own choices, and then what we'll find is our values will prosper under such a situation.
Well, it seems to be that anyway.
I accept your title because I'm pretty much all your guys' secretary anyway.
Basically,
and,
yeah.
You know, General Secretary sounds like it might be an upgrade, so that could be good.
Yeah, General Secretary of the
Secretary General.
What's happened is though and you know we could go all day on this, but it's you have these organizations that are supposed to be the the clearinghouse between nations, but then they end up becoming a sort of government of their own, and then they impose their will on all the member nations.
This has been the sad thing, which is you think of why was USAID created, and you think why was the UN created, and you go back to all the beginning documents and the early speeches, and if you give them credit, which you don't need to, but if you give them credit that they actually did have those notions in mind, how those things are perverted, you have to be very careful when you set up something that has that kind of reach, because without tremendous oversight, it will fall into this lane of fascism and dictating. And so what the UN does, and we know this, what the WHO does, is they blackmail countries to accept a radical agenda. And we've been all like too quiet about the fact that this is an outrageous perversion of what the underlying reasons for the institution was. You look at USAID alone. I participated in some USAID programs 20 years ago or something. It was literally about like digging a well, having a latrine, having a free and fair election. And then it turned on its head so that a Catholic nation or a Christian nation was being badgered with my taxpayer money and your taxpayer money to accept crazy sexual politics. And we let that happen. And by the way, the Republican Party let it happen because it went along too many times on these big budget bills and said, we don't really want to shut down the government, so let's just not do oversight, and let's just give the deep state, let's give the left all this money, and it really created massive problems.
Well, Matt, and looking forward now, so CPAC Poland coming to a close, CPAC Hungary begins in just a few hours.
I'm getting on an airplane,
basically. Yeah. I'm driving, believe it or not.
It's faster.
It's a long story, but I've got to be there. I got to be in Hungary in the morning.
I think Jack Posobiec could be like detained by the authorities somewhere in Europe.
Wouldn't be the first time, man.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the first time. Right. It probably won't be the last. No, actually, after the last one, which Tanya happened to be there for, which you don't need to get into right now, but it ends up with the police knocking on the door, and they go, "Are you Mrs. Posobiec?" And she responds, "What did he do this time?"
That's great.
What did he do? That one hasn't quite been made public yet, but
we'll have the right time.
Stay tuned.
And then we're going to do CPAC Argentina. We're going to do CPAC Australia, CPAC Japan. We're talking to a few other countries, so it's going to be a very
in Argentina.
Yep, of course. This will be our second one.
And that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and we appreciate the help that you and Steve Bannon and others give us along the way.
And what it really is, and it seems to keep coming down to this, and I say that, and it almost sounds cliche at this point, I give the same speech at every CPAC because no matter which one of these countries that it is, they're all facing the exact same problems of this growing, and we should call it what it is. They are attempting to form a global government. That's clearly what I believe reared its head during COVID.
That's right.
And that hopefully gave us sort of the wake-up call to say, wait, we didn't vote for this. We don't want this. And so, if anything, that's kind of what CPAC is, I think, fighting against.
Yeah, and two things I'm very proud of with CPAC, and you know that both of these things. We never abandoned Trump. We were always open to Trump from the very first second when he came down the escalator. We defended what he was talking about on immigration and everything else. We stood by him. We put him on our stage in Orlando about 50 days after January 6th, which caused me tremendous problems with my board. You were there. We never left his side. We never flirted with any of his primary opponents in 2024. We stood by him. I'm proud of that. The CPAC people stood by him. I'm proud of that. And the second thing is we were the group that started off with all the people you weren't allowed to have speak. We invited Tulsi Gabbard first, and people went crazy. And we invited RFK Jr. first, and people went crazy.
And look at them now. Matt, we are just out of time. Where can people go to follow all of the action this week?
Go to cpac.org. Can watch all of these. We'll tell you how you can live stream all these great speeches. And we're going to give everyone a lot of homework assignments so we can all fight for freedom all over this globe.
Amen. Thank you so much, Matt.
Jack.
Thank you for everything that you are doing. Thank you to all the folks out there who are watching, and understand that if you are in America and you feel that it's America alone, just understand that there are patriots and freedom fighters and Christians and Catholics and God-fearing patriots all over the world that want to fight the Soros agenda, that want to fight for their people just as much. Ladies and gentlemen, as always,